at least for a good 2-3 hours, and it should be charged now.
Oh, no.
And no, my battery's not even charging anymore. I think it's just all the power is going to keep the computer running while I'm running CamTwist.
Yeah, CamTwist will suck down your system resources. But here's where it's cool. You get a Mac Pro, and you get 3 Blackmagic intensity boards in them. Now, each intensity board's $200.
Right.
So if you already have a Mac Pro, your total investment's $600. If not, it's a lot more because Mac Pros are expensive for no good reason. So you throw those 3 cards in there, and now you've got a 3-camera high-definition switcher for a fraction of the price of the nearest switcher that I know of that can do 3 cameras in high def, which is a NewTek TriCaster XD300. That is a $15,000 solution. I just got you a solution for $5,000. And CamTwist uses open technologies like it's not really open technologies, but it uses Quartz Composer, and that's just a free developer download you can get from Apple, and you can build your own Quartz effects. So on the bottom of our screen, we've got a little IRC chat room. That's just a QC effect. We're bringing in Twitter chat. So we're having someone develop a live Twitter chat. That's just a QC effect. All the effects you see inside of CamTwist.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've got that. So all that is just Quartz stuff?
Yeah, that's all Quartz. That's all he does. He's overlaying. In fact, if you install Xtools on your Mac, you can open up those Quartz effects in Xtools and tweak them to whatever suits your needs. So we've tweaked things like we'll have a countdown, right, for the shuttle launches.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, you got your.
Yeah, but our countdown is a little bit different than the one that ships with the system because we have slightly different needs for our countdown. We don't just need it to count down because NASA likes to mess with your mind.
We want it to stop.
It needs to count down and then stop, and then
you got your holds. You got your
stop.
Now,
so we have.
You got your L time and your countdown time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You've got your T-minus time, which is what everyone thinks is the real time, but that confuses everyone because it says T-minus 2 hours. Well, that doesn't mean it's launching in 2 hours. That means that's when the terminal clock, is going to count down, but you're still like 6 hours away from launch. So that's what the L-minus clock is for. It tells you when it's really going on. So you've got your Mac Pro, and then you've got your 3 Blackmagic intensity boards, and then you grab any camera that spits out HDMI, and preferably a progressive signal, not interlaced. So stay away from 1080i. You don't want to do interlaced signals on the internet. Interlaced equals bad, right? So do your 720p. It doesn't do those cards can't do 1080p, so you're stuck to 720p. We do component HD out of our cameras because there's less latency, and our cameras don't have HDMI anyhow. But whatever. So, and that's actually, if you can do component HD, do that. So we've got multiple cameras going in, but the really cool thing is because it's HDMI, we've got our Macs hooked up to the HDMI port via a DVI to HDMI adapter. Clever, you like that?
Yeah, so I do like that. I do like that.
We've got a Fire DTV S2 box, which is a little FireWire box that takes a satellite signal in. But it doesn't do C-band. It only does KU band and KA band.
Right.
So you take that in, but we've got a C-band dish. And then we plug that into ITV, which also doesn't do C-band. But if you figure out the math, you can actually convert it into a KA band, or actually it's KU band signal. So you kind of do all the math to figure out what it would be in a K band,
right?
And then it actually thinks it's a K band and displays the full HD C band on our computer screen. Then we take that full screen output. We do 2 things with it. One, we record it to hard drives as the raw MPEG-2 from NASA, and then we make that raw MPEG-2 file available to our Epic subscribers so they can get this beautiful, pristine launch that you can get nowhere else on the internet in original MPEG-2
I bet you can make
factor.
some really nice desktop backgrounds for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The second thing we do is we spit it out the DVI port of that computer into the HDMI port on the Mac Pro. Boom, we've got an HD feed of NASA that goes back out to the rest of the internet.
Can I back up to something for a moment? You were talking about taking the C-band and making the card think it's a KU band?
Yeah, because the Fire...
Do you have a frequency shifter that you put in there, or what?
Well, yeah, you just have to... You manually frequency shift it. So in ITV, you say, your low frequency is normally 50-50 on C-band. So instead of that, you would subtract that from the frequency on K-band, and that's going to be the frequency you're going to use. And then you do... So there's some math that's involved. I don't remember exactly the math. Numbers. But you basically, you convert it to a K-band signal. By messing
with the frequency ranges of the tuner card.
Yeah, well, the tuner card itself can actually handle it. It's ITV that can't, right? So if the tuner card couldn't handle it, then it wouldn't work at all.
Right.
Straight up. But the tuner card and ITV don't jive, right? So I think I misspoke earlier and said that the box doesn't work. The box actually does support C-band, but the software doesn't. So we have to take it in software and figure out what the box is presenting to the computer in K-band for the C-band.
Okay.
Right? So it's being presented to the computer in a way that the computer doesn't understand. So we take the computer and we basically shift it down.
Right.
And we say...
And that's epic.
Yeah. That was a fun little thing to figure out how to do. And then those little... So NASA, having never shifted satellites for like 20 years, with only 4 shuttle missions remaining, decided, hey, let's go to a different satellite now. Now, after we've done all of this work and figured out what all the frequencies are, we have to erase all of it. And they did this, actually, it was 5 shuttle launches. They did it right before STS-130. And I mean right before STS-130. We had like
2 weeks, maybe.
No, we had 24 hours to go back in and redo all of our math and figure it out. And I'm sitting there just like, oh, God, I don't remember how we did this.
That's where a frequency analyzer would be handy. But they cost like $10,000.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I mean, we're shoestring budget. We patch this stuff together with whatever we've got hanging out.
You should be able to find a used HP frequency analyzer somewhere on eBay for like $2. But anyways,
so yeah, that's a little bit of the setup. And then you mentioned mix minus. That's actually just an audio term. It means all of the audio with the exception of your own microphone, right? So it's mix minus your own port. So we've got an audio board that doesn't have enough aux outs, and so we just take – it's fun. So we take – our guest gets all of the audio back out, less their own audio. Otherwise, they'll hear themselves in the ear. And then we get all of the audio, less our audio from the guest. The problem is that our audio board, the aux buses do 2 different things. One is called pre and one is called post. The pre is pre-sliders, which means that it doesn't matter what your sliders do, it's always on, and the other one's post. And we kind of played with this for a little while. We determined that we needed the post so that when the guest's audio was down, we couldn't hear them. Because otherwise, they'd be coughing, and our mics would pick that up in the background, and you're like, what's going on? What audio board are we using? I had just a little dinky Mackie DFX12 that we use. Mm-hmm. I want a bigger audio board desperately. I can tell you the board I want, but I can't afford it. It's the one Leo Laporte uses, which automatically does mix minus on every port. It's really freaking cool. Go over to Twit. Look up that audio board. It's out of everyone's budget, but it is amazingly awesome. So then what ends up happening is now the guest gets the pre-aux bus, which means that now their audio, they can always hear us. Always. Always.
So even when our mics are down and our audience can't hear us.
And we're in the middle of break.
And we're like, God, this really sucks. I can't even believe. Did you toot? Seriously, you have to stop farting on camera. Anytime the guest can hear that, but our audience can't. Mm-hmm. Right. So it gets to be very entertaining sometimes. Every once in a while I do forget that. Actually.
And every once in a while she does fart.
I do not.
Yeah, and you don't say anything like, Jesus, guest sucks.
Right.
Well, we learned that early on. And in the chat room it was brought up, you use a USB mixer. We don't. We use an all-analog mixer because we don't want the additional latency and overhead that USB brings.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, we're already pushing our system really, really hard with the Blackmagic cards. If we were to add a USB mixer into the mix, no pun intended, that would just be painful. We need a bigger analog board is what we really need.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to do at this point is open up the chat room to questions, see if I can pull in a few questions from Twitter. And
the Twitter. It's called The Twitter?
The Twitter, sorry. Pull some questions in from Twitter. And maybe your cat can field some questions as well.
This one's Pika. This is different from Victor.
Pika, as in Pikachu?
Actually, as in piccolina, the Italian for little one or small one. But Pikachu works as well because it's not like she responds. Pika. No. Exactly. Pikachu.
Anyways, I know the show is pretty active, so most people who've asked questions have already done. But so is there any questions in the chat room for Ben and Carrie Ann here?
What is your favorite color? What
do you want to ask?
Is your quest?
Do you want to ask James maybe what his favorite?
Oh, you know what? Why don't we, while we're waiting for the chat room and the